Once upon a time in a faraway land, there was a woodworker named Geppetto who lived in a little workshop filled with all sorts of strange and wonderful gizmos. But his greatest treasure was the chair in the corner, the one that looked like an old woman sitting on a park bench. Because for Geppetto, this chair was no ordinary piece of furniture. It was his most prized possession, and if only he knew the truth about it, he would have guarded it even more closely. For you see, the chair wasn't just a chair. It was actually a parasite, a strange and otherworldly creature covered in wood-like armor. And when anyone sat down on it, it would feed off their life energy, slowly draining them until they were nothing but withered husks. And the more it fed, the stronger it became, growing larger, hungrier, and more powerful with each passing year. But then one day, everything changed, because sitting on the chair that day was a small wooden puppet named Pinocchio. Now Pinocchio was no ordinary puppet. He was a living, breathing creature made of wood and string, and he dreamed of becoming a real boy. So when he heard the old woodworker talking to himself about wishing for a son, Pinocchio decided to make his dream come true. He jumped off the shelf and ran over to Geppetto and said, "Please, Mr. Woodworker, make me a real boy." And Geppetto was so surprised to see a talking puppet that he immediately wished upon a falling star to make Pinocchio's wish come true, and suddenly Pinocchio's wooden body began to glow, and the room filled with the sound of crickets and the smell of freshly cut grass. Pinocchio had become a real boy. Only now he didn't look like a cute wooden puppet anymore. He looked like a big worm. But he was still Pinocchio, and he was still curious about the world around him. So he started exploring the workshop, and that's when he found the chair. "Wow, what a beautiful chair," he said, completely unaware of the danger that lay within. And as soon as he sat down on it, the chair began to glow, and Pinocchio felt a jolt of energy surge through his new wooden body. He didn't know it at the time, but the chair was feeding off his life energy, slowly turning him into a puppet again. And as the days went by, Pinocchio continued to visit the chair, completely unaware that it was draining the life out of him. In fact, he liked the feeling of being drained. It made him feel weak and helpless, like a puppet. And the more he enjoyed being a puppet, the more the chair grew stronger. Soon it was so powerful that it could control Pinocchio's mind, making him do its bidding. And Pinocchio didn't realize any of this until it was too late. The day he finally realized what was happening was the day he was supposed to meet his new friend, Figaro the cat. He had been looking forward to this meeting for weeks, but now he didn't have the strength to get out of bed. "Figaro, I don't feel very well," Pinocchio said weakly. "I think I need to rest." But Figaro wasn't fooled. He could sense that something was wrong, and he started to investigate. As he searched the room, he noticed that Pinocchio's bed was covered in sawdust and shavings, the same kind of wood that Pinocchio was made of. And when Figaro looked closer, he saw that the wood was moving. At first he thought he was imagining things, but then he saw it again, a tiny worm wriggling beneath the shavings. And then it hit him. Pinocchio wasn't a boy at all. He was a parasite, the same kind that had been living in the chair all along. And as Figaro watched in horror, Pinocchio's form began to grow larger and larger, taking on the shape of a giant worm. And then it struck him. The reason why Pinocchio had been so eager to sit on the chair, the reason why he had enjoyed being drained of life energy, it was because the chair was helping him shed his wooden skin, helping him to become his true self. But now that he was free of his wooden prison, he was also free to feed on others, to take their life energy and make it his own. And as Figaro watched in horror, Pinocchio lunged out of bed and sank his teeth into the cat's paw.